it's Deb. I'm here to talk about kindness. This is a subject very near and dear to my heart. I hope it is to you. In the announcement before this, I showed a picture of the Dalai Lama and how important he thinks it is that we have kindness and compassion in our world today. It seems we're a little bit in short supply, but not necessarily in the quiet moments. Come with me as I talk about a time where one person made a huge difference in my life. When I was a cadet and we entered West Point in that first class with women, you can imagine how tough it was just being in that environment, not even talking about it being the first class with women. It has been known to be a very tough environment, especially that first summer where the cadre have this great responsibility in order to change us from civilians into military. That can be challenging because these habits, but no more so than when we had to be in the mess hall, a normal place which is refuge for us where we love eating. That was not what it was like at West Point. First, you have to understand what the mess hall looks like. The mess hall is a place where we eat. It had huge wings. I don't know how tall the ceilings were, but probably 30 feet, maybe much more. Just cavernous. We had the wings and areas so that they could seat 4,400 cadets during the academic year. So imagine coming up concrete stairs and then you come to this huge door, the mess hall doors. It looks like a medieval castle, and it's got a big round ring if you had to open the door. But you come in, and from the time we'd enter, you just hear yelling at the cadets and all of that. For new cadets, it was a place where we were magnets for hazing. Hazing is when people yell at you and tell you things that you don't want to hear. There are lots of rules in the military. In this case, we weren't supposed to what they call gaze around. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to keep your eyes forward, somehow magically go find your table, and then stand there at attention, keeping your eyes just on the table when you were there. Well, it was pretty awful. I can laugh about it now, but in hindsight, it was not fun. Not fun at all. In my case, these daily yellings, because we were women, we were real magnets to hazing. We were very obvious in the mess hall, very easy for people to come over and start hazing you. This would go on in every meal. You could look at the table, remember? Oh, I forgot to mention, we did it family style. So you have 10 people to a table. In our case, for the summer, it was the table commandant, which was usually a third-year cadet, a cow, or a firstie, could be a firstie too, a rising senior. They would sit at the table as your commandant. Our table commandant, and then 9 new cadets. About a week or two into cadet training, I looked down and what did I see? But there were 2 desserts. Best of all, it was my favorite dessert, which is cherry pie. When I looked down and I saw cherry pie, I just knew, oh my goodness, there's going to be more for us. Now, we had to go through a lot of yelling and other things still. We had to announce the food. We had a water beverage corporal. We had the dessert corporal. And for me, in desserts, you'd have to hold up the pie and say, "Sir, today's dessert is cherry pie. Would anyone not like cherry pie today, sir?" Then you'd put that down, and depending on the response on the table, you would cut the number of pieces for the people who wanted dessert. Well, of course, for 2 cherry pies, you get to have as much as you want. It was so funny because this happened at a lunchtime, and then it happened again. We had 2 desserts at dinner, and then the next day at lunch, we had 2 desserts. Sometimes the desserts would be somewhat hidden, like on my chair. One time I almost sat on cream puffs. You had 10 desserts or like a pie. You could cut the pie. I really don't remember exactly how I learned, but I learned later on that a waiter took pity on me because he saw how much I was being hazed. And that's his gesture, his small act of kindness in order to make my day. Of course, he did make my day. I was very excited, especially for lunch and dinner, to come to the mess hall. I was always wondering, whoa, what are we going to have today? And will it be there? Will the dessert be there? Faithfully, he did this not just the summer, but all 4 years that I was a cadet. This gentleman, the waiter, was from Chile. His name was Jorge Chavez. He just changed my life. He showed me that this act of kindness, even in this horrendous hazing environment, that there just needed to be one thing to look forward to, and how important that was. After 4 years, I wanted to honor him. I gave him a gift that cadets give to those people who have made such a huge difference in our lives. It was an engraved saber. So that's my story of Jorge Chavez and his kindness. Another thing that I learned later is something I've mentioned maybe to you before. Stressed is just desserts spelled backwards. So is there any surprise that I love desserts? I love sweet things. I love to be able to enjoy desserts. I hope this story at least illustrates that kindness doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Kindness can be something where you're there and you're noticing what's going on and you see something. Maybe it's opening a door or doing something, but not expecting anything in return. In fact, there are times where I've done acts of kindness where maybe it wasn't appreciated at the moment because the person was not in a good place, but later on they might come back to me. I'd never looked for that, but sometimes they'd come back to me and they say, hey, thanks a lot. I wasn't in a good place when you were helping me. Because they're not looking for help. They're just projecting that negative energy that they're feeling inside. Kindness can have that ripple effect when you show that and you're paying attention. So I'd like to, at this moment, just share an acronym as I come up with acronyms each time we have a discussion. It's Be Kind. I'm hoping that will be memorable to you. The B is Be Present. A lot of us are so busy we're not present in the moment. What I want to make sure that we do is that we are present for each other and doing things. When you're present, the funny thing is you can notice those things that you can help. Whether it's for another person or an animal, does it really matter? Kindness spreads. The E is encourage others. It's all about encouraging others because kindness is often about someone who's struggling, like I was struggling as a cadet. The K, keep it simple. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. I've mentioned that. It just has to be thoughtful, something very kind and nice. I, when you do it, you're initiating the ripple. It's that plunking the little stone in the pond where the ripple goes out. Now that can ripple out negativity or it can ripple out positivity. And that's what I love to see. And notice the little things. Those little moments, the timing and the expression of it can make all the difference between it being seen as kindness or interfering. Notice those little things. Maybe you can make a difference in someone's life. Sometimes it's just holding a door. Or in my case, the other day, one of the caregivers offered to help me. I was chopping something up. I don't like chopping food. Some of you like chopping food. I don't like doing it, but I'll do it because I love eating. I had all the vegetables put out to make a stew. And she said, do you want me to help you? She did it in such a sweet way. Initially, I said, I can do it. And then she asked again, not in a pushy way, but a very sweet way. And I said, well, do you like chopping food? She says, oh, I can do that. And so she did, and we had a great conversation. Accepting help or kindness is sometimes hard for those of us. She noticed the little things, which was, I could use some help. The D is important. You do it without expectation. do it without expectation. Sometimes I get slapped, figuratively mostly. You think, oh, gotta watch what I'm doing, but you don't do it for a zero sum game. Some people think the world's zero sum. I do not. I believe it's infinite. When Devin Belkis and I worked on that term, it just emanates out. Think about whatever you do not only may help that one or help someone else. In the video that I put a link on leading up to this, it was about someone who was out in the water and saw a shark with a hook in his mouth and helped that shark get that hook out of his mouth. And that shark led him to a whale that was caught up in the fishing nets. He helped rescue that whale who was about to die because it was so encumbered by the fishing nets. Those are the kind of things that you can pass it on, and you find out more and more ways that you can help. Kindness isn't just a moment, it's a movement. One dessert, like I had, or one encouraging word at the right moment, one smile. I've talked about smiling before. I think I'll devote an entire part on that. But smiling to someone, talking, just having a conversation with someone who's down and out could spell the difference. I've read many a story of someone who was ready to commit suicide and someone shared an act of kindness with them and they decided not to do it that day. Be that moment for someone. Do that for them today and tell me about it. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Tell me an inspiring story. Share those inspiring stories. We could all use those inspiring stories. You never know when your small act will become someone's lifelong memory, like Jorge Chavez was for me. I look forward to hearing from you and sharing more about the acts of kindness that we are rippling out into our world today that desperately, desperately needs that kind of kindness. Aloha.